You have to let all things be done decently and in order. I want to begin by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekah HaKodash, double honor to the other apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations to the Most High's men in the four corners of the earth, pushing his word in sincerity and truth. And shalom to the sisters that support and subscribe wholeheartedly to the message of deliverance and salvation of Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai. This your brother, Banyumyun of GMS Jackson, Mississippi, with an intrinsic topic going into let all things be done decently and in order as it is written. You know, primarily that comes with understanding your walk in this truth and prioritizing things accordingly. You know, because the scripture states that a man without a vision shall perish. And the vision for the hopeful elect out there is to be able to constantly endure, ultimately all the way up until the end. But you have to balance out your spiritual self so you can be able to do that with the balance of living in this carnal and wicked world. You know, many years ago, I've always stated that we are imperfect individuals in an imperfect world seeking perfection. And although there may be moments in time to where you slip, you fall, and you stumble, you know, the scripture states that a righteous man falleth 7 times, you know, but ultimately he gets back up again. But that comes with balance, and balance comes with experiences. And that's why you have to prove your own soul and try things out and understand what's beneficial for it, you know, but not things that are evil, wicked, or sins, you know, but trying out different things to understand, okay, where are my strengths, where are my weaknesses, where are my strong points, and, you know, where do I need to brush up upon things or touch things up, you know, because balance is very important, you know, when it comes to keeping your eye single, because if you're in balance, then your eye won't be single. It'll be appearing here and there and looking upon everywhere. But when you narrow down that scope of keeping your eye single, you know, you really hone in on the things that are more beneficial for your spiritual self. You know, and the Most High has it to where he has given us liberty, you know, liberty in Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, liberty in this truth, liberty in this ministry. You know, but ultimately all things have to be done decently and in order. And going on into the carnal, which is your so-called life, you know, you have to understand ultimately what it is that you want. Because if you don't understand what it is that you're trying to obtain, you won't understand how to balance it out. And then when you get to those particular moments to where you've done the legwork in attempting to balance things out in the carnal, which is your life, then you pray unto the Most High, you know, for that extra oomph that you need, that extra push, that extra guidance, that extra level of understanding. Because you have to pray to the Most High that he blesses your decision making. You know, because a lot of times when you hear of events that befall someone, or you hear of, you know, something transpiring, and the first thing that the person would say was that was Satan, you know, but now ultimately it was just a poor decision selection. It was a poor decision choice that you made, because everything has either positive consequences or negative consequences, right? As they state, positive repercussions and negative repercussions. But praying unto the Most High for balance in your life, and praying for the Most High to let all things be established decently and in order according to his will and not your own. You know, because what you may want and desire for yourself, it may not be what Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai ultimately has on your bucket list. And it doesn't have to be anything grandeur or evil or wicked or, you know, of this world. It could just be something simple that's just not beneficial for you. Or it can be just something as simple as though, nah, that's not what I want for you. And you have to accept that. We have to accept what it is that Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai has planned out for us, and not what we think we necessarily need, because that's one of the levels of being patient in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai is being still and knowing that He is, and not forcing the course, but just allowing yourself to fulfill the whole duty of man here on planet Earth, which is to keep the commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, right, and do His will, and then continue to work with your own hands, right, because as it is written, he that does not work does not eat. And that goes into both the spiritual and the carnal. You can't not work and then expect the spiritual gifts of the Lord, nor can you not provide for yourself in this world and then expect to have a means of living. And when dealing with situations, when you weigh the things in the scale of balance, then you ask yourself, okay, which one is more beneficial, and which one is more likely to yield a positive reward. And then when you're torn between the two, it's just like, man, you pray unto the Lord. Like, Lord, I pray that you work the situation out for me. Because in the midst of it all, the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, if you're able to think upon the Lord, call upon His name and His only begotten Son's name, and pray unto them, pray unto Yahweh through Yahweh Shai, you already have a leg forward in the Most High receiving your prayer, because you're in the right frame of mind, and you're understanding that you're surrendering ultimately because you've done all that you have known to do at that particular moment in time, or this particular moment in time. Because anything outside of that and additional, it begins to become forced. And then you spend time doing revenge makeup, meaning that when you don't give it over to the Lord in a timely fashion, then you fall further and further and further and further behind in what it is that you're trying to decide upon. And it can be anything. It can be people, it could be things, it could be situations, it could be financial topics, it could be absolutely anything. But the more that you try to force a fix yourself, the deeper the hole gets. Then the deeper the hole gets, you start counting time. Well, man, if I did this 3 weeks ago, if I did this 6 weeks ago, if I did this, 3 months ago, I'd be better off. So then you try to pull it ahead rapidly, and you do nothing but go down deeper in that rabbit hole, in that deep pit, even faster. And then you either come to your senses spiritually and you pray unto Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and then He delivers you. He gives you the understanding, He gives you the wisdom, He gives you the knowledge, He gives you the wit, which is wisdom, and the know-how. However it comes, by a dream, by a vision, by a voice speaks unto you, by someone that you run into, and your situation is cured at that moment. Or not. Sometimes it can be the opposite. The situation just worsens. Whether it's chastening of the Lord, or whether it was due to your own faults. But ultimately, the goal and objective is to seek peace and pursue it, to keep balance at the forefront, and to let all things be done decently and in order. That goes with conversations, that goes with conduct, that goes with spirituality, that goes with balance in the faith, in the ministry, in the work. And two things that you can look at is, one, to keep it simple, and 2, don't do too much. If you're not keeping it simple, you're overdoing it, which is imbalance. And if you're doing too much, you're doing exactly just that, and that's imbalance. So when you find yourself doing either of those 2, that's when you reel it in, you hone it on in, and you do more examination, which is examining yourself, and then you do more praying unto Yahweh Shem Hawashai to help and assist you along the way, and that shows your humility. But if you feel like that you have it, then you'll continue to be treadmilling and not going absolutely anywhere, but thinking that you have it under control, you have it on the reps. So, and that's one of the things that, having or being a contrite individual is a lowly individual, right? Brought down lowly, humble, meek, and remorseful. But when you aren't contrite, you can only be the opposite. So you have to humble yourself before Yahweh Shem Hawashai, right? Seek ye the kingdom of the Lord, and all things shall be added unto you. So if you find yourself, kind of struggling in between levels of balance, pray unto the Most High to bless you with that understanding in order to work it out. So I pray that this was edifying. I'm going to end off by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shem Hawashai, Bahashem Rekah Kwadash. Until next time, it's your brother Ben Yun. I say shalom.